I'll be starting us off with the Daily Nation, and I see here the very first top story is Tanga Tanga, as you wish, Ruto tells MPs. President William Ruto yesterday openly contradicted his deputy Rigathi Gachagua when he encouraged members of parliament to traverse the country in the conduct of their constitutional mandate, saying as lawmakers they should not be confined only to their constituencies, exposing the widening political rift between the duo. This is a story on pages 6 and also 7. More on the same, I see when we call for regional unity, it is not that we want to be united against anybody or for any other reason. Why would somebody isolate us because we are united? And this is from Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. And President William Ruto answering that, saying, as an MP, don't be cheated into concentrating on representing your electorate only in Parliament. You must traverse all regions for oversight and legislation roles. Interesting battle right there. Go to pages 6 and 7 of the Daily Nation. You'll get more on the same. Still on the top page, I see here parastatal budget slashed by 40% ahead of mergers and closures. This is on page 5. Kenya back in 7 series. Shujaa rally past Germany in playoffs to qualify for World 7 series. This is on page 36, the sports page. Still on the top page, why students are shunning degrees for TVET diplomas. Interesting. Darwin Bogo, a 20-year-old student, was ecstatic to be among the thousands of 2023 Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education Examination 2023 candidates selected by the Kenya Universities and Colleges Central Placement Service, KUCCPs, to pursue studies at a technical and vocational education and training TVET institution. After completing Form 4 at Grassland School in Nyahururu, Bogo knew precisely what academic path he wanted to take, regardless of the grade he attended. This is very, very interesting, and you can have a look at that. And sometimes, you know, we realize that the seasons are changing, and people are actually preferring TVET diplomas instead of degrees, even when they actually got pretty good marks. So why is this the case? Look at that story still on the Daily Nation. That's on the Higher Education magazine, the pullout that is within the Daily Nation. Still on the top page, I see here that course leaders up the ante in war on Mogoka Miraa. The controversy surrounding Mogoka leafy stimulant has galvanized the resolve of leaders in course to enforce strict regulations in the face of a sustained onslaught from the regions that export the plants. This is a story on page 16. And I see here on the junior sport, interesting, beautiful story. Chess master gears up for South Africa. And going to page 2 of the Daily Nation, I see teachers up in arms after missing JSS jobs. Primary school teachers have picked a fight with the Teachers Service Commission for failing to upgrade them to teach junior secondary schools and instead employed graduate teachers. That's a story on page 2. On page 3, I see a hike in honor of Mount Everest victim. Chariot 40 collapsed only 48 meters away from the 8,849 meters peak. And I see here Miss Christine Bosibori saying, we have decided to mount Chariot because we are hiking enthusiasts just like he was. I see a group of hikers drawn mostly from Western have scaled Manga Hills on the border of Kisii and Nyamira counties in honor of Joshua Chariot Kirui, the mountaineer who recently died while climbing Mount Everest. And remember, we were informed that the body will not be removed but rather left there because of the cost implication and also the labor that it will demand for the body to be removed. We have had other hikers also dying on that same Mount Everest. And moving on, page 4, I see Nairobi UDA camps fight for supremacy in grassroots polls. Governor Sakaja confident his wing will carry the day, but his rival for the chairperson's post, MP Gakuya, accuses him of using underhand tactics. I see here 240 in numbers is the seats Governor Johnson Sakaja claims that candidates allied to him had won in the ongoing UDA Nairobi grassroots elections. 340 are the delegate positions that are up for grabs for UDA members in various wards in Nairobi County. Look at that story on page 4. And page 5, I see state farms cut by 40% ahead of mergers closures. On that story, Treasury projects to save more than 2.3 billion shillings savings from mergers. The president said on Thursday last week that heads of parastatals had agreed to a request to cut their recurrent spending by nearly a third. This is part of austerity measures in a far-reaching rationalization plan that is backed by the International Monetary Fund. Story on pages 5. And moving on to page 8, I see farmers caution against new levy on cane transportation. With the introduction of VAT in the transportation of sugarcane, production of the critical raw material will be crippled. This is Ezra Okoth, who is the KNSF chairman. The government has proposed 16% VAT on transportation of sugarcane to factories. A story on page 8. Let us go to the back page, which is the sports page. Resilient Kenya back in World Series. After false start, Captain Onyala sets Shujaa on path to famous victory as team scores 5 tries and 4 conversions against German opponents. And that is a story on the back page. World Rugby 7 Series playoffs. Kenya's promotion to top-tier competition sparks of celebration among fans. Great news right there. Let's go to page 35. Ancelotti sticks to script for more glory. I see here Cruz signs out in style as Real Madrid win record, extending 15th title at Wembley Stadium. And lastly, ex-stars bemoan rot in boxing, want quick action to save sport. So former Commonwealth Games champ Kasamba and retired boxers Mont Waweru, Gisharu Nzau want a total overhaul. That's a story on the sports page as well. That is page 35. And I see here, moving on to the Standard. The top story still is Gachagua in yet another tiff over military chopper. I see on 3 occasions the deputy president has not had access to the aircraft with a reason given at each instance. The latest is when he could not fly one to Bungoma because he had not applied for one. That is quoted on page 8. And still on the top page of the Standard, I see intriguing White House rituals that date back ages. That is on the pages 4 and 5. I also see on the top page of the Standard, money wars could see schools shut. That is on page 10. Real Madrid show they are kings of Europe. This is on the sports page 32. That is on the Standard. And I also see here UDA fights expose Ruto's knack for combat politics. Merging rift in UDA mirrors Ruto's political career, which has been characterized by controversy despite always emerging victorious amidst the turmoil. And I also see a very interesting pullout here, health and science, letting men tackle period stigma. Look at that story. That is on pages 4 and 5 of the health and science pullout in the Standard. And let's go to page 2, where UDA wars expose the real William Ruto as political ground shifts. I see here emerging rift in UDA mirrors president's political career as ODM deputy leader Ruto was at the center. Ruto was at the center of the divisions that threatened to tear apart the party. And I see here Ruto is hoping he will have an opportunity to rearrange his house ahead of the 2027 elections if he manages to weaken Gachagua. That is on the political beat. That is on page 2. Page 3, are the running UDA chaos a usual ploy, or could it be a serious Gachagua push-out? President William Ruto's young government has grappled with many multi-billion shilling scams raised. Others think that Gachagua's body language show that he is a man under siege. And moving on, I see White House rituals, Ruto's reception that included a picture at the Resolute desk. I see here as we walked out of the room under the close watch of military security and the Secret Service, I paused and had one long look at the Pentagon, that famous fabled building whose image is screened in movies back home, writes Peter Wakaba. It was here that President William Ruto oversaw the signing of several deals that included the move to designate Kenya a non-NATO U.S. ally. And I see here Lloyd Austin, 3 U.S. Secretary General of Defense, saying, I'm pleased to announce that 3 Kenyan cadets have been admitted to 3 U.S. military service academies. They will be the first Kenyan cadets to attend these outstanding schools. A story on pages 4 and also 5 as well. And on the story on page 10 about capitation delays, schools could close down as cash crunch bites. I see here schools across the country are raising their alarm over release of capitation funds a month after the start of second term. The delay now threatens smooth running of operations. And I see here 22,244 shillings is the amount that the government remits to secondary schools every year per student. The paralysis threat comes as schools gear up for the midterm break on June the 26th. And moving on to the back page, that is Real Madrid show why they are kings of Europe. More on the same, the Los Blancos beat Dortmund 2-0 to lift their record 15th Champions League title. I see here pass master Toni Kroos provided an assist as he brought down the curtain on a glorious club career. I see here Shujaa back like they never left. Kenya Sevens promoted back to World Rugby 7 Series, story that was as well covered in the Daily Nation. Ambitious Uganda now determined to bring more energy to T20 World Cup. That is on page 30 of the sports page. And just quickly, the Business Daily, the top story here, KNBS on the spot for wrong power bills in computations. KNBS May inflation numbers raise data quality issues. Agency's figures contradict IPRA's gazetted prices. See, the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, that is KNBS, is on the spot for using the wrong electricity prices in its monthly cost of living computation, raising questions over the authenticity of the agency's latest inflation numbers. That is a story on the Business Daily, and it is well covered on page 2. The back page is why basis trades can be an essential tool for cautious dealer. When unsure of a clear winner, you are better off taking opposing trades, but with the possibility to make a small profit. And on the last word, as we conclude the Daily Nation, the Standard, and the Business Daily, Charlie Munga here is saying, those who keep learning will keep rising in life. Beautiful last word. Now, we've come to the end of the newspaper review, but we are going to be taking a short break and coming back to let you know more about the video of the day, which is what we're going to be having right after this particular segment. But do tune in to Hope FM. At the top of every hour, we have some amazing news updates right here on Hope TV. We have Dira at 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. We have News Watch. So let's have a look at the video of the day.